Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. In today's episode, we have Charles Hsuan. He is a storytelling sales coach who works with growing businesses with a strong culture of learning. Before starting Flying Kite in October 2018, Charles has won multiple sales awards. Charles believes customers buy with emotion and justify with fact, and also that every business owner and sales professional deserves a practical framework to tell their story and have a clear marketing message. Well, welcome and thank you for being here today, Charles.
Lovely to be here, Adriana. Lovely to be a pleasure's all mine.
Likewise. But before starting, I'd like to know a bit more about your background and your story and how was your transition to sales? Because from what I understand, this was not your first career choice.
No, like when I do my workshop, just out of curiosity, I kind of already know what the answer is, but just so they can also understand it. One of the questions I ask people is, how many of you growing up, or how many of you that are parents will say to your kid, hey, go be a person? 99% of the person never thought of it. They never thought about sales as a career. However, doesn't matter which path you choose, whether it's a business owner, then you definitely have to sell, or whether you are in a restaurant. If you're in a restaurant, you have to sell your ambience, your menu, your decor. If you're a doctor, lawyer, attorney, you're selling your experience, everybody's selling. And whether you have the title business development, account manager, sales, you are selling. And a lot of time people don't really grasp that, or the people don't accept that. What I have seen is they are very good. They might be they're expert in their field, but they're a certain expert that's more well-known. For example, Jamie Oliver, he's not the best chef in the world, but guess what? He's one of the most well known because he's good at selling. He's good at promoting. Same as Gordon Ramsay. They are plenty of more well qualified, quote unquote, but they're good communicating, and that's the skill that we can all learn. Growing up, I still have ADHD, and I was forced to take Ritalin as a kid, and on my report card throughout school years was always, Charles can never stop talking. Charles needs to, behave in class. And so I got a lot of hiding. Because of that, I had to talk my way out of trouble very fast. But then one of the defining moments I remember was when I was studying in my final year of financial management. We had a subject called commercial law. I did really, really bad in it because law is memorized. You have to memorize a big, thick book, and they ask you maybe 5 questions. It is like mind-blowing to me. So it's a year course, meaning that it's not semester. You go on based on the whole year's average. So in South Africa, we use the British system. It's a 4-year degree, 50% is a pass. I went in there with an average, 30%. That means I have to get at least 70 to pass. So I think I got an average of 48, which means I did all right in the final exam. But then 48 is not a pass. But I qualify for a rewrite. I don't want to do a rewrite in December where all my friends are graduating and ready to start holiday. So I went into the professor's room, and I don't remember her name. Let's call her Adriana. And I go there and I immediately scanned the room. I realized back in the days, the flight center, they had their tickets in an envelope. When they book your schedule, it's actually in an envelope. You're nodding because you probably remember this. So I said to the professor, hey, Adriana, looks like you're going on holiday. Oh, yes, I'm going to this place. I can't wait. I've been planning for this for a long time, and now I have to mark these papers. Immediately, I'm like, she has a pain. Let me speak to that pain. And I said, Adriana, you know what? First of all, it's December. It's a time of giving. Second of all, you just told me that you don't want to mark another paper and delay your holiday. So what do you say? Guess what? She passed me.
Wow.
Exactly. Wow. I didn't have to do the rewrite. But in my mind, I had nothing to lose. That was always being you can always ask. The worst thing people can say is no. Yeah. But I realized, and this is the first key I want to share with people, do not make it about you. Always make it about the other person. So if you listen to the story, yes, I had an end goal, which is to get out of it, but I made it about her. And that's the key. Speak to people's problem. If you can define their problem in a very, very clear, defined way, you get their attention. And this is one of the mistakes that I see people don't make. They make it all about them, how great they are, how many awards they won, how many clients they work with. Nobody cares. So that was my first realization that there's power in words. And then gradually, fast forward a few years, I worked in short-term insurance. And short insurance, I had to learn because I worked in the call center. Nobody likes to get a call from a agent selling you car insurance, right? Nobody likes it. So the call in the floor average is about 30% conversion ratio. That means every 3 calls, no, sorry, every 10 calls, you make 3 sales. Mine was about 50%. So cold calling, almost every single second call I will make a sell. The company traded us well, and also I got paid very, very fast. I'll say, Adriana, my name is so-and-so, and I'm from this company. The reason for my call is this and this and this. I don't beat around the bush. And then the last time I was properly employed by somebody was in 2013 to 2017 by a company called Entrepreneur Magazine. I worked for the South African one, and off air we were chatting that our director was very focused on sales, which understandably so, and he wanted us to have between 10 and 12 meetings per week. So I worked out the numbers, and in the 4 years I end up like meeting, interviewing, selling to more than 9,000 people. So I got a lot of time under my belt.
There's a lot of experience under your belt as well.
Yeah, and also a lot of rejections, and you learn. Okay, so my mentality has always been, okay, I say no because maybe either I did something wrong or I didn't profile them correctly. Let me see how I can improve it. So I was the top performer for 4 years, and I realized what I was doing right, and I made notes and I started training. So that's basically how I got started in 2017. January 2017, I decided to take the leap of faith and to start my own sales training. And I know that your audience are people, are female that wanted to start their business or thinking about it. And the best way I can, so October will be 4 years. My first 3 years, I was literally eating poo. To say it politely, I was eating poo, meaning that I was paying school lessons. I was paying a lot of school fees. The first year I got into debt, heavy debt. Like I maxed out my credit card. I burned through all my savings, and my stress level, my cholesterol was through the roof. And that's one of the lessons that I've learned, that a lot of times people don't underestimate how long it will take. So it took me 7 months to make my first sale. 7 months.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what the saving habit is like in Holland, but in South Africa, I think the average is, your average family will, if they stop earning today, they will be broke within 3 months. Some of them even within a month. I saved up for 3, which I thought that, okay, maybe after 3 months I'll be able to land a client, but it took me 7 months. If every year that I've been in business so far, there's been different challenges and different learnings. So for the listeners out there, if you are thinking about starting your business or in your first year of business, please take this painful lesson from me and along with lots of other people out there. So my personal story was, I was doing digital strategy, and I thought that I can consult companies on that. So when you work in advertising, the companies I was working with, a big company. So let's say a bank or a listed company. So they will have advertising agencies. They will have strategist, planner, buyer, graphic design. They have a whole team. I just need to deal with the strategist. However, when I was selling to smaller companies, they don't have that. They expect me to be the buyer, the planner, the designer, which is not my skill. That's when I realized, oh my goodness, I cannot do this because I'm not qualified. And it took me a year to realize this. So while I was realizing this, the money was just burning because your debit orders, your payment goes off. So the first lesson that I have learned is find out what your niche is very, very fast. Before you start, you need to find your niche and be very, very specific of what that is. So let me give that as an example. So do you exercise, Adriana?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of exercise? Do you run, jog, gym?
Fitness in general, running.
Okay, so let's use that example, marathon, as a goal. Let's use it as an example. Let's say if I'm a fitness trainer, I come up to you and I say to you, hey, Adriana, I'm a running coach. Great. That's broad, but let me dive down a little bit more. And if I say to you that, Adriana, I focus on women above 25, 35 to help their run. Let's niche down a little bit more. And the ultimate niche could be, Adriana, I help women between 25 to 35 run their first marathon. That's my specialty. You see how different that is?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, I'm a fitness coach.
Exactly.
That's what I mean by that. You need to be able to communicate your niche as clearly, as specific as possible. Had I learned that in year one, I would have saved a lot of heartache. And I was chatting to, I was doing a podcast at a time. One of the South African guy that I admire a lot, his name is Douglas, and he's written like over 7 business books. And I was chatting to him about this, and he says to me, Charles, you tell people that you help them do stories, but what's the goal? And I said, well, it's help them communicate better. But he's like, okay, but what is the purpose of it? And that I had a realization. I'm helping people to sell more. Not about the story, not about communication. The end goal is to help business people sell, because that's what I was good at. That was actually the turning point. That's when I started refining things little by little. So year two, I started to build public speakings on that. So it's 4 years. So year one, I was like, year one doesn't count. Year one was a haze. It was like I was trying to figure myself. So make a year zero. Year zero, I was burning money. Year one, I started to realize it sells. So I started building courses, public speaking. Year two, year three, start building. So that's basically the short summary.
Yeah, this is quite impressive. Because there are many ways to start a business, right? So and the way that you did is taking on a lot of risk, right? By giving up your day-to-day job, relying on your extra savings, debts, and loans, and things like that. If you would go back in time, would you have started differently?
Yeah, definitely, yes. So if I know what I know now and go back, I will do this. I'll make sure I have some kind of clients before I left. So basically, I'll start. I'll use an example of one of the female entrepreneurs. I've done her training course, and she's been on my podcast. Her name is Leanne. I would do what she did. What Leanne did was, while she was working, she already planned to leave the next year, but she started a podcast on the side. And from the podcast, she gained a lot of traction. The point that she knew she was ready in the first year. She had nothing to lose, right? She still had a full-time job, she had an income. And if she tested out the podcast, if it didn't work, guess what? She can try something else. If I can go back, I would have done the same thing. Meaning that come up with some kind of program to see if I can coach and train people on the side, or get invited to do public speaking just to get my name out there, and also use this time to refine my products and services. That's what I would have done. And also, instead of save up for 3 months, I would have saved up for 6, because that would just help you relieve a lot more stress. That's what I would have done different.
Yeah, I think that's something very useful to understand, like how much risk you're able to get into when you get into a business, and based on that make certain decisions, right? So based on your experience and with the clients that you've worked, especially the female part, what would you say would be the challenges the female entrepreneurs have, let's say, on the sales side when they start a business?
You know what? I cannot say this for all the women, but I have picked up when it comes to confidence.
Okay.
When it comes to confidence, when it comes to the so-called imposter syndrome, I feel like some of the females are more like that. So sometimes in their mind, they don't think they are ready. They're not confident enough to promote themselves. It's all these internal voices. I'm like I said, not all of women are like that, but I have picked it up. Just the mannerism of men and women are a little bit more different. The confidence building, I have across a few clients that are like that they will admit to me after digging that they're not confident in it, and that they will come up with different excuses, and then I'm like, no. When you start peeling the layers, like I'll give you an example. One of the ladies I work with won multiple awards, and she's an engineer. Fascinating story, and I wanted to work with her because I could see she's achieved a lot. So we worked on refining her story, and she's gotten funding before, and that's how she's still working full-time, but she's got a funding for side projects. But then after working with her for about 2 months, I realized something wasn't adding up. While doing one of our sessions, she burst out crying. I'm like, what's up? She's like, well, first of all, she said, for the first time after working with you, Charles, when I pitch to people, they know what I do. I'm like, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. But then I start connecting her with people that might be able to be potential clients. And then that's when the stalling starts. Because I've noticed she kept on entering into competitions for funding and this and this. I'm like, go out and sell. Why do you still need funding? And then I realized and asked her straight up, Miss Adriana, are you scared of selling? She took a pause. She said, yes. And I said, why is that? She said, I'm scared of rejection. So I said to her, okay, That makes perfect sense, right? Because that's why she keeps finding funding, because then she doesn't need to sell. But the irony is, in order to get funding, you still need to sell, except for you selling to the funder, not end user. Anyway, long story short, I stopped working with her because if somebody that doesn't want to do sales, I cannot help you because I'm a sales coach. I'm a sales coach, not a life coach. If you want somebody to cuddle you and to tell you everything's going to be okay, that's not me. I'm there to help you make more sales. So we had to end that working relationship. But like I said, that's not the female. Some of them love selling. If they enjoy selling, then it's work.
Yeah, it's interesting to see like this perception about sales. It always amazes me because we have this perception that it's something, aggressive, and it's something you need to put all your effort into it, and it's like some skill set that only a few people can have. But it's so important to be able to tell your story to your audience and have a clear message, right? So why do we feel like so reserved when it comes to the word sales, or the perception that we have around sales?
Well, let me give you an example, right? And let's do a quick wordplay. Adriana, if I had to say to you, and how would you use one word to describe, and if somebody says to you they are a salesperson, what are some of the adjectives that you can think of to describe somebody that's a sales?
Pushy, yeah, maybe.
What?
This is not true. It's not that I believe in it, but it's that you won't get the full truth out, or the full picture. Yet you will get part of the message, maybe.
So there will be deceptive?
Maybe, yeah.
What else? Pushy, deceptive, what else?
I think
every salesperson that's phoning you up.
Yeah, so it's like pushy, deceptive. Those are the main things that I would say would bother me, or if I had to describe a salesperson. Perfect. Would be, yeah.
Perfect. So somebody that's phoning you up out of the blue, cold calling you, deceptive, they want your money, and all those bad things. Basically nothing good. However, Adriana, if I had to say to you somebody is a professional salesperson, what word would you use to describe them? They do their research, they care.
Exactly, they care, they are involved with the customer, they it's more like someone that you have alongside helping you to make a good decision, right? So it's not like a salesperson exactly that I would. It still says, when you have a consultant, for instance, that is guiding you through a process of like choosing, and it's someone who has the information, has the research, is going along with you during that process. Let's say as an example. So that would be
the professional salesperson is somebody that guides you along the way. That they're selling you, but you feel okay with it.
Yeah. I feel that I'm in a way in let's say control of the decision, but there is someone else who is supporting in taking that decision, right?
Okay, perfect. So just to recap, if any time I mention salespeople, it's never anything good. They're annoying, they bother you, they want your money, they're selfish, nothing good. If a professional salesperson, somebody that's there to journey you, somebody that's an expert, somebody that's to guide you. Adriana, what was the difference? One word. The only word that changes every salesperson versus a professional salesperson. One word makes a whole difference. So it's the same. Like in their people's mind, if you see yourself as a professional salesperson, it changes everything. Because if you think you're a professional salesperson, guess what? Then I will care. I will do my research. I'm not going to waste your time. And so that's the number one thing that you need to understand the difference. Because if you are going to be an average salesperson, then of course you're not going to get any good results. And the second thing is, I think a lot of people are scared of rejection, the word no. Because I mean, as a youngster, my dad told me this in passing. I was sharing this with my wife the other day. And my dad said to me, and my dad is not in sales at all. He had a career in Navy. He retired as the ship's captain and all that stuff. And he said to me, Charles, there's two things that's extremely hard to do in this life. First one is sell your idea to somebody. Number two, take money out of somebody's pocket. And I had a pin drop moment about a month ago. That's actually sales. My dad shared with me without telling me it was sales. I don't think he realized it, but it's true, right? You have to take this money in sales. You have to sell your idea to the next in sales. It is hard to do. There are ways around it. About 2 weeks ago, I did a masterclass on something called how to know exactly what to say. Maybe we have no sales experience. And the whole is that we can all become better at it. Some of us are already doing it. You just don't know this is the framework. So as an example, let's say, Adriana, do you have children?
No.
Okay, but do you have friends or family that have children, right?
Yeah.
So let's say a 5 or 6 year old. I mentioned this because I was hanging out with my friends' kids. When they want something, what do?
Oh, they're very persistent.
Yeah, they don't give up, right?
They don't give up, exactly.
They don't give up. They'll keep asking and asking and asking and asking.
Yeah.
And two things are going to happen. Either you're going to give in or they're going to get a beating or whatever. I don't know what the third option is. Selling the same, except for selling is asking in a very nice way.
Yeah.
And not being not grab them by the tie, choke them until they buy. That's like the old school way of doing. By bringing a professional salesperson out to you first. The way I explain to clients is you need to be the medicine to the headache. So if I can position myself as the you have a headache, if I'm the medicine, you're going to come to me. But how do I describe that? So let's say it's the middle of the night, and then you see that you walk into your cabinet, you open up the cabinet. There are 3 bottles of pills. 2 of them gives you all the medical chemist descriptions. And then 1 bottle, Anna, says, relieve your headache in 30 minutes. Which are you going to choose?
The one with the 30 minutes.
Exactly. It's a rhetorical question, but that's what I'm talking about. If I can position my medicine, I mean, all those 3 bottles can do the same thing, but the messaging is different.
Exactly.
Did I shout? Did I yell? No, I didn't. I just spoke to your pain.
Yeah. So what are the tips that you would give to overcome this because it's not rejection, it's preparation to have the right message, to target the right audience. What other tips would you give to someone who would like to get started or to narrow down a bit more their messaging and their sales proposition?
So when it comes to finding the number one place to start is exactly our existing form, meaning that so if you have a product, what is it that you're solving for people that other people cannot solve? And that's how once you like the example that we use about the running coach, I'm specifically targeting women between 25 and 35 run their first marathon. That's a very, very specific pain. So you need to spend time, speak to people, bounce off ideas. The more niche you can get, the more you're able to stand out in the beginning, because unfortunately, you don't have the marketing budget to waste and to throw it on the wall to see what sticks. Bigger companies can do that. They can do that and test, but you cannot afford to do that because it's very, very costly. And then trying to find if there's a market for it. Find out how one of the things I teach people is when it comes to pricing, you need to figure out how much is it worth to them before you give a pricing. So I never discuss pricing. If somebody asks me for a quote, I don't do it. I don't, because here's the thing. Adriana, if you say to me, hey, Charles, how much do you charge for sales training? My first question to you is, well, how much is it worth to you? Because if you don't know how much is it worth to you, when I send you the quote, what are you comparing it to? So during our first meeting, I was trying to define how much is this worth to you. So as an example, let's say somebody that sells solar panels are quite pricey. So a discussion will be that, well, Adriana, how long does an average sales cycle take? It might take 3 months. And how much is a deal worth? It's a few million. It's a big contract. Aha. So the pain that you're having is, if I have you make 1 more extra sale a month, it's worth million, then I can charge accordingly. Then it's all relative. Because if I don't communicate what I'm bringing to you, the actual value, what are you going to do? You're going to go to price.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what happens. I look at quote. Let's go for the average price one. No, then I lose all the way. So let me just give you a quick definition why I feel like the niche is so important. In Holland, how much does it cost to go to a normal doctor? What's the consultation? Plus minus.
It depends. You have an insurance that you have monthly to pay, and that's it. So that, let's say, it's not like a private doctor. It depends. Let's say 100, 200 euros if you had something like that.
Okay. Okay, 100 to 200 euro. Okay. Yeah. If you go to a specialist, like an eye surgeon or a dentist,
then the price goes up. It can be
plus minus,
let's say 200, 300, maybe around.
See the difference. If GP earns 100, specialist earns 300, they're still spending the same amount of time. So which one would you rather be? There's nothing wrong with GPs. I mean, GPs can make a very nice living. And it's because the specialists are able to specialize. I'm an eye surgeon, I'm an orthodontist, I'm a I don't know what other a gynecologist, I'm able to specialize my field. So I see a lot of people out there that call themselves business consultants. But if you got a tree, they'll be business consultants. But what kind of business consultant are you specifically? And will people pay for it? If you're just paying for somebody to chat, then I might as well have a coffee with a friend. That doesn't cost me anything but a cup of coffee. Why should I pay you to listen to me to talk?
Yeah. No, this is relevant. That's true. It's so important to be able to have that set, defined at least at the beginning. You don't want to let's say waste the limited resources you already have, and make the most of it, right? All right. So having a bit more clarity on what are those first steps to make. What would you say on the importance of having a relationship? Because sales is not only about selling, but also building a relationship with a prospect, with a potential client. So how important is that to establish that relationship?
That's a very, very good question, and it's depend on what kind of business it is.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if I'm an online retailer, let's say Amazon, the client customer relationship is mostly transactional. I'm saying that because I buy things from Amazon. I don't really have a relationship with people at Amazon. Whereas if this is somebody that is training me, let's say I've got a boxing trainer, that relationship is more personal. So really, really depends on what kind of business you do. But if you're dealing with somebody face to face, you correct me if I'm wrong, we are more likely to do business with people that we like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if I don't like you, doesn't matter how amazing your product is, I'm not going to go there. So I cannot give you a rule of thumb of how to be a pleasant human being. I mean, that depends on everybody's a different field. So like one of the things that people talk about when I work with them, I ask them a very simple question: what makes you special? Without it, some of the things will come up is we have the best product, best service, or we give best client service. So then I dig it a little bit deeper. What does it mean that you give good client service, Adriana? Does it mean you give me a call on my birthday? Does it mean you remember my kid's name? Does it mean you give me a kiss and hug when you see me? What does it actually mean? Then they're the best. Then they're the best stunned, because if you cannot verbalize it in a very clear way, then how do you do this every single time? Because they say if you just remember my birthday, give me a handshake, remember my kid's birthday, is that really that special? Anybody with a notebook write these things down. Let me give you an example of what I mean. So normally if you go to a shop, I don't know if this is like that in Holland. If you go to a shop, let's say a pharmacy, you ask them for, let's say some vitamin pills. I think most of the time people might say to you, is there aisle 5, aisle 6, and that end of that. You're nodding because you probably agree. But there are 1 or 2 companies in South Africa that they have trained their pharmacists or people that stocking shelves. This is what they do. So let's say, Adriana, if you come to me and say, hey, where's the vitamin E pills? They will stop whatever they're doing, drop everything down and take you there. That is customer service. And you can clearly define it. So when you train people, customer service means this. And if you stocking the putting stock, you're putting price label, you stop whatever you're doing, you look the customer in the eye, you take them there. That is concrete customer service. You know what you're saying? We give customer service. That's what I mean.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you have this like face-to-face interaction, it's slightly different. But nowadays, with everything that it's happening around the world, you still have more and more online interactions. So, how do you still build that trust relationship when you're far away? You don't have that face-to-face connection. It seems that there is an extra challenge there, right?
Yes and no. So I'm using my own experience, right? So I'm using my own field. So because I cannot speak to other fields that I don't work with. So as an example, I work with clients all over the world. Some of them in Australia, some of them in Norway. So we're working virtually. I haven't met any of them online. During the initial consultation, while I'm chatting to them, I'll be making notes of certain things that they say. And in order for me to stand out is to out people, meaning they actually heard and listened to what you said. So in the email, I can bring this up. As an example, so let's say you mentioned something like this is the 3rd consultant I've spoken to, and I thought this is going to work, or whatever the case may be. My first email first of all, I'll personalize my subject line, because when you personalize the subject line, it makes people feel like they're cared for. So instead of just saying quote, because I've seen that a lot, people just say it's quote. I mean, why should I open something? I'm not going to be, oh, what? If you send me something called quote, I'm going to open this now. No, I'm going to summarize what you say. So let's say one of your frustration is, so let's use running as an example. You injured yourself and you haven't been able to find a rehab exercise that's really geared towards you. But during our initial consultation, now I'm the sales coach, the running trainer. Now we discovered that nobody has able to understand what you go through from your running habits and this. And I come up with a subject line that summarizes what you're going through, something like we're one step away for you to be pain free again. And I summarize what we discussed instead of just saying quote. Now, if you do this over and over again, people will feel like you actually heard what they said, understood them. So that is something that you can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's different, but obviously, like paying attention and making that extra effort to get a bit more involved in that relationship with the prospect adds value to the conversation. All right, so I think we can wrap up, right? So is there any last advice or tip that you would like to give to future female entrepreneurs or female entrepreneurs that are already in starting their businesses?
I'll say that for anybody out there that wants to start their business, it's not going to be easy. And if you seek out mentors or if you seek out people on social media, have a talk with them first. If the person that you're dealing with tells you from the day they started, it's been great, it's been amazing, that's not BS. I've interviewed over 70 entrepreneurs so far, 70. Not a single one of them said to me there were no challenges. They were near heartbreaks. They wake up and say, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I cannot do this. This is hard. Maybe just go back to get a job. But guess what? They all managed to push through because they're serving something that is bigger than them. They're all out there to solve a problem that's bigger than themselves. They're not out there for them. So as an example, I will never work for somebody if I find out the reason why they started a business is to be rich. Then I'm not there for you, because that means you're not going to care about the customer. So find out the reason why you started the business and why this matters to you and how people can benefit from this. That will be the first thing. Once you can define that, once you can see that, okay, this problem is happening over and over again, I think I have the solution to solve this. And I can see from reading and researching, nobody has come up with a solution yet, then yeah, maybe it's worth a try. You don't have to always be the best to stand out. Facebook was not the first social media. iPhone was not the first cell phone, but they did something a little bit different. Exactly. So dream big, but be thorough. That's what I can say. Dream big, but be thorough.
Yeah, that's really valuable. Thank you. Well, it was very nice having you in this session, and also thank you for sharing your insights. I think they're very valuable for everyone who is listening, and there are also really valuable takeaways from this episode. Also, for everyone interested in knowing more about yourself, they can contact you via LinkedIn, your website. So we will put all this information in the description, and the details will be provided. Thank you for being with us today.
Adriana, thank you so much. And listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with one friend, just one friend. Share it.